Welcome back to the deep dive. Today we are really getting into a world of logistical nightmares, hungry employees, and, well, potential disruption.
We are. We're cracking open a complete business plan that promises to solve one of the most persistent problems in the modern workplace.
I mean, we're talking about lunch delivery, what to do about it.
Exactly. We have the pitch deck for a company called Everyday Steve, LLC. And they aren't just selling food, they're branding themselves as Workplace Meal Delivery Reimagined.
That is a hefty promise. So our mission today is to unpack this whole thing, their operational plan, their financials. It really seems to hinge on two things: smart lockers and hot meals.
Right, all leading to their big claim of zero delivery chaos.
We're going to look at the model, the tech, the unit economics, and I think most importantly, how they plan to fix the mess that the gig economy has basically made in corporate lobbies.
And it's important to frame this right for you. This is, at its heart, a logistics and technology solution. Food is just the product. The pitch deck gives us this really comprehensive view of how they identify the pain points for, not just the employee, but the employer too. And that's key.
Okay, let's start there then. Let's start with the pain. The office lobby at, say, 12:30 p.m., we've all seen it. It's just chaos.
Total chaos. And every day, Steve, they lay out these really specific problems with using apps like DoorDash or Uber Eats in a corporate setting.
So what's the fundamental breakdown they've identified?
It's that the current model, which is really optimized for your house, for residential delivery, is just completely incompatible with the needs of a workplace.
You mean like the wait time?
The wait time is a huge one, precisely. Employees are waiting, what, 20 to 45 minutes for lunch?
And your lunch break is an hour, if you're lucky.
Right. So half of it, or even more, is just spent waiting or tracking a driver or running downstairs. It just kills the whole point of a break.
And it creates so much disruption. I remember working in high-rises where you'd have this crowd of drivers in the lobby and they have no idea where they're going.
Absolutely. They cause congestion, and the headache falls on the building staff. And then for the employees, the orders show up cold, or things are missing.
Or they just get stolen from the communal table.
Or stolen, yeah. All of this frustration happens before you even see the ridiculous delivery fees they tack on.
But the real strategic insight here, the thing that makes this a business-to-business play, is what they say about the employer.
Yes.
They say companies gain, and this is a direct quote, no benefit from the current system. They just absorb all the problems.
Yeah, and that no benefit point, that's their leverage.
Yeah.
I mean, from a company's perspective, they see wasted employee time, lobby chaos, and absolutely zero return. The current system is actively working against their goals.
So every day, Steve realized they had to fix the problem for the facility manager, not just the hungry employee.
That's the only way to get in the door.
Okay, so if the problem is on-demand chaos, the solution has to be predictable structure. Let's get into what they're proposing. The big idea here isn't the food, it's the delivery mechanism.
It's the smart lockers, and what they call the postal model.
The postal model.
It's a massive shift. Instead of 50 different chaotic deliveries, you get one single scheduled drop. The hot meals go straight into these secure lockers.
And I think this detail is crucial. It's not one big hot box. It's an individual, secure compartment for each meal.
Yes, individual compartments. That instantly solves the theft problem and the cold food problem. The employee gets a notification, they use their phone to unlock their specific door, and pickup takes, what, seconds?
And the driver just does one big drop and moves on.
Exactly. They run their whole route like a mail carrier once per day. Predictable batch delivery. But the real genius is how they get people to actually use it.
Right, the incentives. Because delivery fees are what kill you on the other apps.
So for the employee, it's simple. If the whole workplace orders a certain minimum number of meals, say 20,
Okay.
then everyone who ordered gets zero delivery fees.
Zero. That's a huge saving. That would absolutely encourage everyone on my team to order at the same time.
It's a powerful draw. But then there's the other side. What's the incentive for the employer to give up space for this big piece of hardware?
Yeah, what's in it for them?
This is where they totally flip the script. The employers, the actual workplaces, they earn commission revenue from all the sales at their site.
Wait, so they get paid to host the locker?
They get paid.
So it goes from being a problem, an operational drain, to a revenue stream.
Exactly. Suddenly, the facility manager wants this.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a cost center, it's a structural incentive. No other vendor, not the coffee service, not the water cooler, pays the employer commission. This is how they get buy-in and, maybe even exclusivity.
That is a game changer. Okay, let's dive into the nuts and bolts. How do they actually pull this off and keep the food quality high?
The whole workflow is built for industrial efficiency. It starts with the employee ordering before a daily cutoff time,
A hard cut.
a hard cutoff. Then, once all the orders are in, the kitchen batch prepares everything. And they use what's called a commissary kitchen model.
Okay, for anyone who doesn't know, what does a commissary model mean here?
It means they have one big, centralized, super efficient kitchen, not a bunch of little ones. This lets them control quality, portioning, and most importantly, cost.
And I saw in the deck they mention a Costco ingredient strategy.
Right, which just means buying in massive bulk to drive down their cost of goods. That's how they can project such high gross margins. It's all about supply chain management.
So food costs are low, consistency is high. What about getting it to the location?
That's where the tech comes in. The driver is a contractor, which keeps things flexible, and they follow this super optimized postal route once a day. They drop off the meals in bulk, load the individual lockers, and they're gone.
Okay, but let's address the elephant in the room. Food quality. You solve the logistics, sure. But how do you keep food hot if someone picks it up at 1 p.m. instead of noon?
That is the #1 challenge for any hot holding system. The deck mentions the lockers are temperature controlled, but the real answer has to be in their packaging science and just how tight that delivery window is.
So it's about route density. Get in and get out quickly.
The success hinges on that. The efficiency of the drop-off time is almost more important than the app itself.
All right, let's talk about the app and the tech, the nervous system of this thing. They built the whole platform in-house on Google Firebase. What does a system like this actually need?
It needs total end-to-end control. So they built the customer ordering app, where you see the burritos and power bowls, and they built the software that runs the lockers.
But the real magic is on the back end.
For sure. They have a kitchen prep dashboard for managing the food side, and then critically, a delivery driver routing portal that uses their own proprietary routing engine.
Okay, stop there. Why build your own routing engine? Why not just use some off-the-shelf logistics software?
Because that software is built for a different problem. It's for many individual drops spread out. Their model is one large drop in a super dense area. To make that one drop per day model work, the routes have to be ruthlessly efficient. They need a custom algorithm. And building it on Firebase lets them iterate really fast, test things, and it also keeps their costs down. That engine is their secret weapon.
Got it. Okay, connecting this to the bigger picture, the market opportunity. The U.S. food delivery market is, what, almost $300 billion?
It's massive, $288 billion in 2024. But they're not trying to boil the ocean. They're going for hyperdensity.
Right. Their strategy is depth, not breadth. Their first market is Las Vegas.
Which makes perfect sense. Think about the dense clusters of office buildings, casinos, shift-based jobs. It's the perfect place to maximize route density right away.
And they claim to have zero direct competitors doing this specific workplace-only meal locker thing. How do they stack up against the usual suspects?
Well, their competitive matrix is pretty telling. They look at DoorDash, meal prep kits, vending machines.
Yeah.
DoorDash fails on fees, predictability, security. Meal prep kits aren't hot and ready to eat. Vending machines lack quality and variety.
And every day, Steve just checks all the boxes. Hot meals, secure lockers, no fee, predictable. And that commission for the employer.
They call it the triple win. A win for the employee, a win for the employer, and a win for them. The employee gets a better, cheaper lunch. The employer gets rid of a headache and makes some money. And every day, Steve gets an efficient, scalable business.
It's that B2B solution disguised as an employee perk again. So let's get to the numbers. Can this actually make money? What are the unit economics looking like?
This is where it gets really interesting. They estimate the annual revenue per locker is between $100,000 and $150,000.
Oh, $100,000 from one locker. That seems incredibly high. What's the initial cost to get one of those installed?
The cost per unit is surprisingly low. It's about $6,000.
$6,000. So you spend $6,000 to potentially make over $100,000 a year?
Exactly. And that math leads to a phenomenal payback period.
I'll bet.
They're projecting just 3 to 5 months. For any kind of physical hardware, a payback period that short is, it's just highly capital efficient. It's exactly what investors want to see.
And their margins look healthy, too.
Very. Gross margin is around 35 to 40%, which ties back to that Costco strategy. And they're projecting a net margin of 10 to 12%.
Okay. And it's not just meal sales, right? There are other revenue streams.
Right. They have upsells like drinks and snacks. They have that commission structure. And they can also charge a small delivery fee if a workplace doesn't hit the daily minimum. So that gives them a nice little buffer.
And the growth model is simple. Just add more lockers.
That's the idea. Their projections are tied directly to locker count. Year one, with 5 lockers, they're looking at about $720,000 in revenue. By year 3, with just 15 lockers, that jumps to over $2 million.
Okay, so to get this going, what are they asking for? What's the funding request?
It's a pretty modest ask, actually. $105,000. That's it. And that money is mostly for the physical assets. Buying the first batch of smart lockers, kitchen gear, inventory, enough to get the first 5 to 10 sites up and running.
That small of a raise implies the founder has done a ton of the work himself. Let's talk about him. Stephen Morono. His background seems tailor-made for this.
Oh, it's the perfect founder market fit. He has 35 years in software and systems. He spent 15 years at Volvo GM Heavy Truck Corporation.
So he gets complex logistics, he gets hardware, routing.
Deeply, he brings that heavy transport supply chain knowledge, but he's not just a tech guy.
Right. He also has professional culinary experience. Bubba Gump Shrimp Company, Seattle Pacific University.
Exactly. So you have this combination of tech, deep logistics, and actual food operations. That's why the platform is so integrated. He built the whole thing himself, which is why the ask is for deployment, not for hiring a bunch of expensive developers.
The low investment, that quick payback.
Right.
It's a very appealing model, assuming, of course, they can execute.
The math is compelling, for sure, but execution is everything.
So let's wrap this up. What does this all mean? Every day, Steve sees the failures of the gig economy model in a structured environment and offers this specialized solution.
It's a vertically integrated logistics company that just happens to use food as its payload, and they align their incentives with the employer, which is the brilliant part.
So what's the final thought for our listener here?
The model is fantastic in its efficiency, but its success really does hinge on those two things we talked about: maintaining route density and keeping the actual hardware, those lockers, working perfectly. Which makes me wonder, and this is the question for you to think about, as more industries try to get away from the friction of generalized gig services, are we seeing the beginning of a bigger trend?
What kind of trend?
Where specialized platforms like Everyday Steve start to carve out niches and outcompete the giants, just because they can be so much more efficient for one specific type of customer.
That's the bigger picture. We're moving from the chaos of the on-demand economy into these highly optimized, specific delivery systems. Efficiency is starting to beat ubiquity. Something to think about the next time you're trying to find a delivery driver wandering around your office parking lot